3000.
What is doing? My name's Maloney. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by a rapper, producer, videographer. I think you also dabble in a bit of design as well. Lachy Hamill, thanks for coming, man.
Oh, thank you, bro. It's good to be here, man. Mad honor. Yeah,
Did I cover everything?
yeah. I think you pretty much covered everything, man. Yeah. I guess I don't really do too much of the graphic design stuff, like only when I need to. But yeah, there's plenty of much more talented people than me at that, so I'll leave that to them.
But man, you are somebody who really epitomizes the DIY attitude when it comes to making this music. You'll shoot the videos, you'll record stuff, you'll do it all.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. I like to stay busy, I suppose, and keep my fingers in a few different pies. Yeah. It keeps life interesting, anyway.
Definitely. All right, it's going to be an interesting chat, man. I'm looking forward to it. So obviously, you grew up in Tassie, I believe, maybe in Hobart.
No, so I was actually born over here in Victoria, and my parents moved over to Tassie when I was about 4 or so, and I grew up my whole life in Launceston, so up north. So sort
Lonnie.
of much smaller. I think it's about 150,000 people, maybe. It's and when I was 19, I moved up to Hobart to just to pursue the music stuff more, because there's more of a hip hop scene in Hobart, and I got offered a scholarship to study music technology in Hobart. So I was like,
That's cool.
I'll jump on that. And so I moved up to Hobart then and lived there for about 5 years. And
As like a 19-year-old.
yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, and it's not that Hobart's the biggest city, but when you do compare it to Lonnie, it is a big city.
Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest city in Tassie for sure. But I mean, it's not very big compared to Melbourne, that's for sure. I think Hobart's like 200,000 people or something. Yeah. And Melbourne's like 6 million.
Yeah, I think pushing 7, but yeah.
Far out. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So when you moved to, let's not jump that far ahead. How did you first find music when you were a kid to get the scholarship? Because that's a big jump.
Yeah, well, I mean, music. My dad was always very into music and would always be playing music around me and stuff, and so would my mum to a certain extent as well.
What kind of music?
Oh, he was into his 90s grunge mostly, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, like Nirvana, just heaps of that kind of stuff. And my granddad loved music too, so I was always, kind of exposed to music a bit, and I always had a real interest in it as well. And I picked up the guitar, like I really wanted to learn the guitar, and I found a guitar teacher in Launceston who didn't really teach, because I was like 10. He only really taught high school kids. But he's like, all right, I'll teach you guitar if your dad comes along as well. And so me and my dad went to guitar lessons and started learning. And he kind of like dropped it pretty quick. But I was like obsessed with it. And I'd like play guitar and I'd like record. I had this little Skype mic that I think my mum had it for Skype or whatever, and I'd use that and I'd like mic up my guitar with it and like record little demo songs and put them on a CD and shit. Like, yeah, terrible, like little songs. But yeah.
You've got to start somewhere. Man.
Yeah, totally. So I'd do that, man. And then I kind of found hip hop when I was probably like 11 or 12, and then just completely forgot about the guitar. Never really picked it up again, except for later on. Sometimes I pick it up when I'm making beats and stuff.
It's a good musical grounding, though.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But then I was just all about hip hop, man, and just, from then on, really.
So what was it that you found at about 14 that got you onto hip-hop? Was it American stuff, Aussie stuff?
It was a bit of both, really. So I think probably the first hip-hop that I heard that I got really into, which is the same for a lot of people, would have been Eminem, I reckon. Yeah, like I was real...
Even though you're from a younger generation, that's still the one that sort of hit you first.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would have been when I was around probably 10 or 11, which would have been when... Recovery was out, so there was a lot. It was all over the radio still, and I was a real sus one. I was like, I don't know about this rap shit. Like, what's this? I don't know if I like this at all. And I'd just like, maybe listen to it a bit here and there, like just to suss it out. I'd be like, nah, I don't know. But then it slowly wore me down, and I slowly started getting more and more into it. And then I just got like really, really into Eminem, and I would like deep dive into him. And then probably like, I don't know, maybe around 12 or so, I found Aussie hip hop and got like really into Flying Colours. That was my album, the Bliss and Esso one. I got really into that, and then really into the Hood's early stuff, and just got super obsessed with Aussie hip hop. And then I found a lot of the underground Melbourne stuff, and then that became my shit. Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm just trying to think, but Bliss and Esso have a song called "Eye of the Storm," don't they? And that's the
They
name of
do
your album.
actually. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that
So
an influence?
I actually their song "Eye of the Storm." They have this line, "Time stops still in the eye of the storm," and my mate Damesar from Tassie, Mad DJ, he actually scratches that line on the title track on "Eye of the Storm."
Yes.
So I mean, it wasn't really. I mean, that song sounds nothing like any Bliss and Esso song, really. Like, it couldn't really be further from it. But that we did scratch that line. So I guess in that way, it's sort of like it. Yeah, it kind of does link back to it. That's cool. Yeah, full circle sort of stays.
Yeah. Did you think about that?
No, not really.
I just
Yeah.
put two and two together. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, when you said you got into the more Melbourne underground stuff, what kind of stuff were you get? Because obviously Hilltop and Bliss and Esso are as mainstream as you
Totally,
can get from
yeah.
the Aussie rap scene.
Yeah.
Then what did you? That sort of segued into what else?
Well, I mean, yeah, like before the underground stuff, I was all like I deep dived into the more mainstream side, like with Draft and Funkors and that kind of stuff too. But yeah, the underground Melbourne stuff that really grabbed me, that like ramped up my hip hop obsession to the next level, would have been Cray Cartel, Pang Productions, Raw Authentic Records, like all of that, even like Broken Tooth Entertainment. Just I think the first track I heard would have been Raise the Devil by the Four Aces. So Madam Muss, 1/6 and Flew. And I heard that, man, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? It was the beat that really got me. Like, that beat just blew my mind. And then I just started really deep diving into, mainly Paying Productions and Craig Cartel, their stuff. Yeah.
And you're thinking about production from your point of view yet, or are you thinking about rapping, or are you just being a fan?
I mean, I guess all three, to be honest, man. Yeah, yeah. That whole scene, probably I was like really taking a lot of inspiration from the production side of it. Yeah, like especially with someone like Must, who's like, I reckon, an incredible producer. He's probably my all-time favorite producer. So I'd like really, really study his beats a lot. And yeah, same with a lot of those guys. With Gecko too. He'd be a good one to get on the
I've
show,
asked him
actually.
before.
Yeah.
He's not that keen at the moment. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, Musty too, actually.
I've
that'd
spoken
be
to
dope
him too.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. Like on the weekend, I went to a few gigs, and people are like, "You should speak to this guy. You should speak to that guy."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I say to him, I'm like, if you think I should speak to him, 99% of the time, I've asked him.
Yeah, yeah,
Not everyone's
fully.
down to do it though.
Yeah. You're not
due
in the
time.
business of twisting arms, I guess.
No, I don't want to
Of course,
bully anyone into it or try and, not bully, I mean pressure him.
Yeah.
I put the offer out,
Yeah.
But he was one of the people that you were looking up to early days, and then so that pushed you in a production route, or just
Yeah, I guess so. Like I've always been very much, the first thing I started doing was rapping. Like that was my first.
It's an easy thing to start getting
Of course,
into.
yeah, and very low barrier to entry. You don't need anything, you just need your brain, really, like maybe a pen if you want to write it down. But yeah, I got very into production as well, mostly because like I didn't really know too many producers. I didn't really know where to get beats like back in the day in Launceston when I was like, 13, 14. So I started just trying to make them and, do my weird, janky little beat solutions and shit. I was on a cracked copy of FL Studio, as a lot of people started off doing.
Yep.
But yeah, and I think, but I did get really into production from, all that sort of scene for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I guess you think, all right, well, Melbourne seems to be where it's at, and you think one day that's where I want to get to. I know we're jumping ahead, but is that what you're thinking?
I don't know, man. Like, I guess I didn't really have like plans to move over to Melbourne or anything at that point. It was just like definitely where all the hip hop that I really liked was coming from. And I'd always, because I was born in Melbourne, and most of my extended family lives over here. So I would come over a fair bit, like, at least once or twice a year to sort of visit them. And whenever I did, it would be like straight to OBS Records, straight to the Wax Museum, like with my cousins too, because they were big into hip hop and graph and stuff. So yeah, Melbourne was kind of like the Mecca, I suppose, in that way. And I would like always love to come over here and just like immerse myself in it as much as possible. But it wasn't until really later on that I started thinking it'd be cool to actually move over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're in your early teens, you're making music with your cracked FL
Yeah.
Studio. Is school embracing it? Do they think that you're making music, or are that like is the scholarship thing a long way away?
Yeah, I mean, my school, they weren't really too into it. To be honest, they wasn't really like, it really had nothing to do with my school. Like, I didn't really do music at school too much. Like, I kind of did in
Because
like,
there wasn't the opportunity, or because
there just wasn't, I mean, we had a music class, but it was nothing like hip hop, you know what I mean? It was just like, write out your crotchets on the paper and you know what I mean? Like, you can play the glockenspiel or something. Which is like, nothing wrong with that. But I didn't give a shit at that point. I think I did music in year 7 and like failed it. And I was like, fuck it. And then, yeah, I was doing rap battles at the time too. That was definitely like some of the kids found the rap battles. And then the teachers were like, what's this? Like it was a bit of like.
just underage battles.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was underage. Yeah. Yeah. But there was like a little, like a rap battle league in Launceston called Launceston Battle League, which a fella called Chip started. And yeah, I would go there and I would battle and they would get posted to YouTube and stuff. So I think maybe my school was a little bit disapproving of it. I mean, I don't know. I'd never
What
really.
you do out of school? Fuck, who cares?
Yeah,
man?
yeah. I mean, I don't think it was ever really a big problem, but it was like a Christian school, so I think maybe there was a little bit of like puritanical, like you shouldn't be saying swear words sort of thing. I think, but so that wasn't really, it never really became a thing with that. But then when I moved, when I finished year 10 and I went to a different school for year 11 and 12 for college, that had a way better music program, and that's where I did music technology, and that's where it sort of like, yeah, I kind of started merging my school and hip hop a little bit more, and I love that.
Yeah, music technology sounds a little bit more interesting from a production standpoint
Totally,
than writing
yeah.
down musical scales or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It just adding that technology, you start to think, all right, there's going to be some digital stuff there.
Yeah, yeah, totally, man. That was way cooler. And the actual course that we did was like, it was like it was something called the University College Program. So they would have like, it was like a course that the uni provided, but they provided it to college kids.
Yep.
And so
And college is still high school.
yeah,
sort of.
year
It's a
11 and
different
12.
system.
Yeah, it's a bit different in Tassie. And so, yeah, I think I just did really well in that course. And the uni lecturers would come down to actually mark this course. And I think they were just, they were impressed with what I did. And then I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to go and do this because I was like, fuck, man, I don't want to have to go to uni and pay like 30 grand or whatever for like, a degree. I don't know if this is going to benefit me at all, if this would be a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
But when they offered that scholarship, I was like, well, yeah.
So
sick.
when you say scholarship, full scholarship, they're paying for it all.
Yeah, they did.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was sick, man. Yeah, super lucky that I was offered that. That was really cool.
And I guess that gives you the opportunity to sort of level up your equipment. You're not using the cracked FL Studio. You
Yeah.
could probably get Ableton at a student price or something like that.
Yeah, totally. Although I don't know, you might even be able to get Ableton at a student price even without doing that. But
The loopholes.
Yeah. But yeah, totally, man. It was really cool. I think mostly like the value I really got from that was just a bit more confidence in like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like I learned a lot of music theory, which was super helpful. But I mean, there wasn't heaps of like teaching us how to make beats and stuff. There was a bit of that, but like, yeah, I think I just got a lot of theory, which was super handy, and just like confidence and networking with other musos too, which was a big thing, especially in Hobart because it's so small. So it's like it's not too tall of an order to like make the acquaintance of most of the musicians around. You know what I mean? Which was super cool because then I can collaborate with them and get them on records and stuff, which I've done. Yeah, which has been really cool.
And like what I get from a lot of the producers that come in here, when they go to school, even though you don't have to, all of a sudden you've got access to free studio time.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, that was super cool, man. Yeah, that's the only time, and who knows, but like, might be the only time I ever like work on an actual massive analog console. So that was really cool to be able to do that. And yeah, I recorded just a small orchestra and stuff, and recorded a string quartet for a couple of my songs. So that was like, the kind of stuff that I wouldn't have done otherwise. So it's super, super cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, and do you hand stuff like that in as like your end of year semester or whatever, like projects?
Yeah. It was actually funny. Like, one of my mates from Tassie, Kane, my Greeley met him in jail, and Kane was like, a kind of like a, recidivist sort of his whole life, and was like, decided he wanted to get out of the that life and really pursue music. And so Greeley linked him up with me, and we made an EP together, and we produced like this really hardcore, like gangster rap street hip hop EP, and I handed it in as one of my assessments at uni, and they loved it. I got a HD for it.
That's amazing.
Oh, bro, it was it was funny. It was sick.
Yeah. That sort of stuff. You know you've got a good school when they're accepting of that, and they're not like, nah, this isn't what it's about.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Did you feel pressured to do well because you had the scholarship there though?
Well, I mean, I had to do well, or they would take it away. So yeah, I guess I did. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't too hard to do well because I was really into what I was doing. You know what I mean? I was like really, yeah, I was super into it. Yeah.
Was sample based stuff cool there? Did they like that? They want you to try and record things originally, or you could do a bit of whatever.
A bit of both, really, man. Yeah, I think especially because of the major I did, which was a dual major in music technology and commercial music creation, which the latter is like film scoring and stuff like that.
Which could be really helpful down the track.
Totally, yeah. But yeah, a lot of that, especially with the music tech stuff, that was, sample based stuff too. Mostly EDM sort of stuff, but yeah, hip hop stuff too.
And when Grace was here a few weeks ago, she said that you used to do some slam poetry stuff with her. Was that around that similar sort of time?
That was way earlier. So
you were really young then.
Yeah, I was. I think I might have done my first slam poetry thing when I was 15 or 16 maybe. I think 16, because Grace had come through and she had done it a year before me. I think she was 17. Yeah. So I think the first year that I did it, Grace came, like, because it was like a competitive thing. Yeah. And I think Grace was coming back because she won the previous year and she was doing like a guest sort of headline sort of set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which was cool.
And so people were looking up to her. They were like, wow, she's won.
Yeah, she's the big rig. Yeah.
So then you do it. And I guess during this production stuff, you're still writing your own raps. Are you recording stuff yourself at this stage?
Yeah. I started recording, like when I got my first laptop, and it was probably around like 14, would have been about 14, just a hell of a shitty laptop. And I'd like bend the screen down and like rap into the webcam mic, and that's how I recorded all my stuff.
Heard a lot of people say stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I recorded probably like 3 albums when I was like 14, like doing that.
What, like we're talking 12, 13 songs?
Yeah. I think I did my first EP, which was like 8 songs. Then I did an album, which was probably 12 or something. And then I think I finally got a mic then. And then I recorded another mixtape. So I've recorded shitloads of stuff. Thankfully, it's all gone now because no one wants to hear little squeaky voice.
You don't even have it on a hard drive anywhere?
Oh, I do. But yeah, it's not online. But
maybe you'll sample yourself down the track.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be cool.
But that's the thing. It all has to start from somewhere, man. And
totally.
That's what I think is the best part about kids that get into sort of hip hop music is, like you said, they don't need much.
Yeah.
Now you can just rip some beats off the internet. You can rap into your laptop. Like you can start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then email them to people. And if they like what you do, then they might help you out. And that's it, man. That's all you got to do, really.
Yeah, fully, man. Yeah, it's really cool. The better the technology gets, the lower the barrier to entry is, really. And it's a lot easier. Yeah. But yeah, it sounded pretty dodgy, but you could still hear what was going on. You know what I mean? And it did the trick for the time, and it helps me, get better and progress and all that and meet people. Yep.
Yeah. And so were you hesitant to show your teachers and stuff your raps? You were showing them the production. Were you like, well, this is a whole sort of, project that I've made?
So is this, you talking like at high school and stuff? Or
when you were doing the into the laptop stuff?
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't show any of my teachers that. No way. No, I was like, I don't know. I think because I was literally none of my friends cared about hip hop. Like I had no friends that were into hip hop. Like no one I really knew was into it at all.
They're not into music at all. They're not into hip hop.
I mean, there were definitely people around none of my friends really, but there were people at school who were into music. But at this point, I wasn't into music. I was into hip hop. You know what I mean? Like I didn't care about other music too much. I was just obsessed with hip hop. But yeah, I didn't really show any of my teachers. I didn't really talk about it to anyone. It was just something I just manically did by myself in my bedroom. You know what I mean? It just didn't really show too many people. Yeah.
So then, when you start to go to your college, you hand in your final project, which is with Greeley's mate. What was his name?
Kane. So this was when I was at uni. Yeah.
So at uni, you do that.
Yeah.
Then where do you go on your musical journey from there?
So, I mean, yeah, throughout that whole period, I've been like writing and recording and releasing stuff here and there. And I did a fair bit when I was like 14, actually in that battle scene. I battled this fella called Paul as well. He would have been like 28 and I was 14, and he just absolutely handed me my ass. Like he fucking ruined me.
A lot of kid jokes? Or?
Oh yeah. But he's like an incredibly good rapper, like probably one of the best I've ever met. So yeah, he absolutely wiped the floor with me. But we became mates, and we'd be like we'd started working together heaps, and we'd write and record music together. So in 2020, while I was at uni, we released our album, our Pseudo Lucid. That's our group name. And so yeah, I've also I've just always been writing and recording stuff, really, just consistently. Yeah.
Do you feel that you're progressing in your, like, obviously you are, but can you notice it by how much you're putting out there? You feel like you're getting better. You listen to those old recordings and you're like, I would definitely do it differently now.
Oh, totally, man. Yeah, for sure. Especially with like the production side of things and the mixing. Like that's the biggest one probably.
The final mixes.
Yeah, the mixes. Like I released this mixtape in year 11 when I was 17, and I went back and listened to that the other day, and I was like, fuck, actually the writing on this is pretty good. You know, the mixing's not very good, but like, yeah, not too bad with some of the writing. But I mean, obviously there's definitely a progression as well. Like you wouldn't want to peak at 17.
No.
Yeah.
But that is something that is a really, like, I guess probably gets overlooked with a lot of bedroom, music production. Like they might get the crux of the song there, but getting the levels and mastering it and getting it mixed down correctly is like a different challenge in itself.
Yeah, totally. And like, young creative people just want to be creative, and they don't want to sit there and like, EQ a vocal, all day and like, get the compression settings just right. So it's fair enough, they just want to make music and have fun with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So towards the end of your university, so college is year 10 and 11.
11 and 12, yeah.
And then university's after that.
Yeah.
And then you're making music there, and you think, you're in Hobart, you're 18 at this stage, I guess, so you can go out more.
19, yeah,
19, so you can go out more?
Yeah, I was going out more, and I was really getting, acquainted with the rest of the scene, and like I was moved in with a few rappers, which was really cool too. I moved in with a fella called Ayo and a fella called Max Bladel, who's Max Bladel was on one of the Melbourne ciphers that we did. Mighty Dreamer, that's his stage name.
So you got a brother Hugo?
Hugo, yeah.
I know Hugo. Yeah,
really?
I used to live with him for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I lived with his brother.
He must be a bit older though. I mean, Hugo must be, because he's closer to my age.
Nah, Max is older. Max is a fair bit older than me though. But yeah, I think he'd be in his 30s now. He's about Greeley's age. Yeah. But I moved in with those guys, and that was super cool because like Ayo was a mad producer. Max is a mad producer too, and Max was an incredible rapper, incredible songwriter, and I would just like, I think I really learned a lot from living with those guys, and then I moved out of that house and I moved in with some other rappers, and I've lived with heaps of different rappers.
Were you always the dude who could record stuff, and people were like, "Yeah, let him live here because he can record
I guess
studio."
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, probably.
Are we talking like egg cartons on the wall and that sort of stuff?
I never really did the egg carton stuff. I definitely got a lot of cheap, shitty foam and like mattresses and all sorts of like just dodgy workarounds, and sometimes just had some really echoey shit sounding rooms too. But yeah.
So then you're living with rappers, you're recording these people. But are you thinking about this as potentially a profession at this stage?
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah, that was always something that I wanted to. Yeah, that I didn't really want to do anything else. I just wanted to like do hip hop, do music in some capacity, somehow. And I think the idea was that I would sort of do recording and mixing and production, and sort of that would be sort of my career. I mean, it's a pretty tricky career. It's a pretty lofty goal, but yeah, I guess that was always what I was sort of aiming for.
Is
Yeah.
the video production stuff started at this stage?
The video production stuff's funny, man. That's something that I just really fell into, to be honest. Like, I referenced that EP I produced for Kane, and that was sort of the genesis of my video making, because we flew Cortex down from Perth to shoot a bunch of videos for that EP. And like, he did an incredible job. Like, he's a mad talented videographer
And you were just
producer.
watching and learning.
Yeah, and yeah, Kane, bit of a businessman, he's like, how about, instead of like, paying someone else to come and shoot our videos, how about I get a camera and you learn how to use it, and then we're sorted. And I was like, yeah, all right, sweet. So yeah, he got himself a camera, and I started like learning how to use it. That would have probably been 2021 or 2022, around that time.
Which is only a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. It hasn't been too long. Like, I've been at the music stuff forever, but not very long for the videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just started learning how to do that, and just shooting heaps of clips for local rappers, and yeah, and eventually Kane sold his camera and I bought my own. But yeah, that was sort of how I got started with that. And yeah.
You sort of, I guess this is your DIY, mindset. You're like, okay, we don't have the budget, so if we just get the equipment, I can do the rest myself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, back at that point, no one really had a budget. So I wasn't really making any money from doing these videos. I did a few for Grills back then, which I just did for free, because it was like, it was Grills. It was like, sick. I get to do videos for Greeley and my mates and housemates and stuff. And I got a couple here and there that paid me like a little bit, but yeah, there wasn't really any money in it. Like, slowly over time, it sort of built up and stuff. But yeah, that was, I don't know. Yeah, that was definitely something I just sort of fell into. But it's funny because it's become like a real big part of what I do now.
As far as money spinner, or just workload, or
Yeah, just everything really, man. Like, yeah. I definitely find myself doing a lot of videos. Like, in that couple of years that I've been doing it, I would be closing in on around 200 music videos or so. Yeah.
You've done 200 music videos in what, 3 years?
Yeah, around that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, not all of them are like, some of them are simpler than others, but yeah, it'd be close to that, I reckon.
And you edited them, you've recorded them, edited them, and put them out there.
Yeah.
Or the artists have put them out there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, in my YouTube playlist of videos that I've done, there's about 170, I think. But then there's a few that never came out, or a few that people have taken down, or this or that. And around that.
Man, that's crazy. I'm like, that alone is impressive, and then you put the production and the other stuff you've done. That's a huge work ethic for a young person, for anybody, man.
Cheers, bro. Yeah.
Crazy.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you were doing stuff a lot of people in their early 20s have no idea what they want to do. It's really cool to see people like yourself that know what you want to do and make it fucking happen, man. It's super impressive.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I guess I have always known that I really wanted to do hip hop, and I've always just been very focused on that, I suppose. And,
yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that know what they want to do and don't make it happen.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
You're
that too.
one of those guys who is making it happen with it, like, no excuses. If there's no one to shoot the clips, I'll get a camera and shoot the clips. If there's no one to make the beats, I'll make the beats. Like, you're just making it happen.
Yeah.
It's a fucking super impressive, man.
Cheers,
Hats
bro.
off to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
So at this stage of your journey, are you thinking about the Apple Isle style record? Are you putting together tracks for that? Because looking at it, man, there's 36 tracks on it.
No, 24. Yeah, it's 24. Yeah. So that kind of came about. When would that have been? I think it would have been around 2021, maybe. Like,
And you're still in Hobart at this stage?
Yeah, I'm still in Hobart. Grills, I was just chatting to Grills, and he said, I think maybe Posse Shot 3 came out, or I can't remember which Posse Shot album, but it was one of those albums. And it just like, we were talking about that album and how hard it repped Melbourne and how dope it was, and how they had like, they had all their mates on there. That it was a pretty pretty rich album with a lot of features and like a really repped Melbourne. And we were like, fuck, it would be sick to do something like that for Tassie and like really do like an album that showcases the talent we have in Tassie. Because Tassie has heaps of rappers and there's some sick rappers, but they're not always given the exposure that they could. And we were like, yeah, that would be really killer. And, we weren't going to do something this hectic and expansive, but it kind of just ended up growing and growing over time. So we started putting that together and we're like, yeah, we'll probably have it done by the end of the year. And it definitely did not happen. By the end of the year, it took way longer than we thought it would.
Yeah.
Which is going to happen when you have that many moving parts. There's
sure.
60 artists involved in that. So it took a long time.
So it starts as an idea to put out one record, but you probably didn't have the idea at the start it was going to be a double album and press it to wax as well.
No, we weren't gonna. No, none of that was an idea. No, we were just gonna make a little compilation album. So I was gonna produce it, but it was gonna just be like a small sort of album that we'd put out there. And then as we went further and it got more and more hectic and I got more into it, I was like, man, we should do this and we should do that. We should put it on wax. And, it would be so cool to get the Topsky, the OG from Tassie, to do all the artwork, which he did an amazing job with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Which that was like, that took him probably a year because he's done that and then he did a whole nother mural on the back, which is like the feast after it's eaten and
the aftermath.
Yeah, the aftermath. So he did so much work for that, and and he wrote a whole full comic book. There's an 8-page comic book in there too.
Man,
that
it
he's
feels
done.
heavy. Like
it's heavy.
I'm keen to rip it open.
Yeah, they were expensive to post out. That's for sure.
That's something you don't even think about. Is
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, but yeah, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I was like, considering this is such like. It's such a Tasmanian thing and it reps Tassie so hard and it's like putting on so many, because, I got some session musos on there too and I'm employing Topsky to do the artwork and I've got DJs that I paid on there as well. And I'm like, this could I reckon I could apply for an arts grant for this. And this, if I write the application well enough, I reckon this is something that they could actually be interested in funding. And turns out they were. And so,
Amazing.
yeah, so I got some coin together and I, pressed it to wax and, yeah, it was sick, man. It was super, super cool.
Yeah, one thing that kind of sucks about that is if you've got 60 artists on it, it's hard to be like, hey, everyone gets a copy. You're like,
oh, man, yeah. And it was so expensive to actually press it too. Like each record, actually just the pressing of it cost well over $40.
Did you do that here in Melbourne? Or
I did. Yeah. So everything was done in Tassie except the mastering, which I mastered it over here. So I recorded and mixed it in Tassie, but I mastered it with Joe Cara over here at Crystal Mastering, and then I got it pressed at Zenith over here as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I'm guessing there's no sort of record pressing places in Tassie anymore?
Nah, definitely not that I know of. Yeah, there's not. I think there might be sorry. I think there was a lathe that someone had that you could cut records on, but I think maybe High Five has that now in Perth. I think, yeah. Yeah, so I don't think there is anything I mean, I might be wrong about that too. Who knows?
So that happens, that idea spawns in 2021.
I think, it would have been 2021.
Really gets out from a bit of a holiday at that sort of time. You start working
would have been, yeah. Would have been
you start working with him a lot more. And he must be somebody, not just from a Tassie scene, but from a national scene that people look up to. So you must be like, fuck, man, I get to work with this guy who's a bit of a legend in the Tassie scene.
Yeah, that was really cool, man. Yeah, definitely. I think that was sort of, he was putting together his the Grills album when I really started working with him a lot. And I did a verse on that album and I did a couple of clips for it. And that was sort of the start of our working relationship, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we just started working more and more together. And, yeah.
And then after this, once you get the grant money, and I'm guessing it's probably not enough to actually put it out, but it helps.
It was, it definitely helped, yeah. But, I mean, the whole thing was pretty expensive to do, man, yeah.
But it's awesome to have something physical, and, I know talking to people on the weekend that make records, and the only reason why they do them is to put them out on wax so they've got a physical thing.
Oh,
it's
so
like a
cool.
little trophy you can keep for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That is it, bro. That was a big motivation for it. And that's why I got, my... I released a solo album in 2023 as well called The Craft, and that's why I got that, put on CD, because I just wanted one myself. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's definitely a thing. It's sick to have something tangible.
Yeah, and something that people can hold and feel, and that comic book and like that, all that sort of stuff, man. Like
Oh,
that's what it's
yeah.
all about.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. I agree. Yeah. Oh, and shout outs to Discourse too, who did the layout and stuff for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I saw him on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Such a good guy, man, and
Yeah.
again, someone who sort of does it all as well.
Yeah, totally.
You must
yeah.
look up to him a little bit in that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's been cool working with him a little bit recently. He actually shot the album cover for Eye of the Storm too. So that's his artwork.
It's a very close knit community, the Aussie hip hop community.
Totally, man. Yeah, definitely. It definitely is. Especially in Melbourne, and especially in Tassie too. I feel like in a lot of ways Melbourne is kind of just like the big brother to Tassie, they're just like one in the same.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing, man. Like I've said it before on this show, but if you're going to do anything creatively, you can stay in Tassie, but there's not a huge market there. I think you've got to spread your wings a little bit and kind of go to somewhere on the mainland. Like there are probably Tassie people now going, "Shut up, Maloney, you don't know what you're talking about." But that is kind of like the natural evolution to an extent, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's definitely people who've stayed in Tassie and done really well, but I think it's just, for me personally, I just really wanted to network more with more people and just like keep doing it in a bigger pond with more people in a different pond, you know what I mean, and just keep going. And yeah.
So when you eventually put that out, what's that, 2022?
So we released that at the end of 2023. Yeah.
So that's 2 years in the making. A lot goes into it.
Yeah.
Was it obviously it was cool to get it out there, but was it also a bit of fucking relief as well?
Yeah, man, it's definitely like that. Definitely just like, I feel like with releases you get to the point where you just like so over it that like when it finally comes out, you're just like, I just don't want to think about this anymore, which is counterproductive because that's when you really need to be pushing it. But it was a massive sense of relief, man, and it was really, really cool to get it out.
And do you, like, I'm guessing you're going to say yes, but do you think that there are grants out there and kids should just apply for them whether or not they think that they're a chance? Like, there's money out there in some capacities, isn't there?
Oh, man, yeah, definitely. I'm not actually too sure about how it all works in Victoria. I would assume it's the same as Tassie, but there's heaps of like arts grants and stuff in Tasmania that people just don't know about, and so they just don't apply. But it's, if you apply and write a half decent application, it's like not unlikely that you will get them. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten a few just by like writing applications and just going for it, and they've approved it. Especially over COVID too. There was a bunch of like grants around that time as well.
Yeah, because they wanted people to stay creative and that sort of
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, I've heard, and this is not from a creative aspect, but I've heard some people that got grants during COVID from certain businesses, and they've been asked to pay them back now.
What?
I know, it's fucking cool.
Oh,
man.
man.
I don't think that was in Tassie. It might have been I think it was in New South Wales, but some businesses have been affected by lockdowns, and they've now been asked to pay their $10,000 small business grant.
Oh, that's cooked,
man.
Oh, I hate that. It's like the same when Centrelink like accidentally overpays you, and then you're like, now you have to pay us back. It's like, you fucked up. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. I'm someone who's never really been involved with Centrelink, but you hear those robo-debt stories and stuff, and man, people get suicidal when they hear this shit. Like, that's horrible sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's so whack.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's shit. But yeah, so, given that, get the money back off them when you can. Apply for the arts grants.
Well, I think so, man. Honestly.
Oh, man, we pay so much money in tax and stuff too. It's like, why not like take some money and like make a fucking sick Tassie hip hop album with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And that goes for people all around the country. Like there's all different grants. I think like even where we are, we're in a different part of Melbourne here. Technically it's still Melbourne, but there's different grants for down this Mornington Peninsula area.
Sick.
So I think every different area would have different grants, and people just need to get wise to them.
Yeah.
And the biggest part is just being able to write a good proposal.
Yeah, totally.
Which I'm sure ChatGPT could help with.
Exactly, man. Yeah, definitely. I've definitely used ChatGPT for a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and that's, again, where the internet kind of fucking levels the playing field, because years before that, the people got the grants that necessarily didn't deserve them. They were just the best people at writing the fucking applications.
Yeah, fully, man. Yeah. And there'd be like professional like grant proposal writers and stuff like that. And it's such a big thing. That's the other thing with creative creative pursuits and that kind of industry, it's like a lot of the time the people who really succeed aren't the most talented or like the best artists. It's the people who are the most business savvy or like have, you know, their head screwed on.
The most professional mindset.
Totally, yeah. Which is a shame because it's like, it's true. Like some of the most talented people I've ever met are just like my mates in Tassie who people, you know, just don't know about because they just don't put their stuff out or they don't know how to or, you know, this or that.
But at the end of the day, that's 90% of it.
Mm.
Like anyone can record something, but if you don't put it out there,
Totally.
then where's it go? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. What's the point, really?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a point. I mean,
If
it
it helps
depends
it-
on why you're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's definitely the case, man. Most of the most creative people, like not only in hip hop, but I think in any, you know, art pursuits, they are people that aren't the best at promoting themselves. They're the people that aren't the best at keeping up the consistency or the level of professionalism.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that kind of get left behind, where the people that keep pushing and pushing and pushing, they fucking get to where they need to go.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, it's tricky to find the balance between the two, and like, yeah, I guess that's what it's been a big thing for me, trying to like really figure out both sides of that coin, and like try to get my head around the business side of shit and like promoting. And it's definitely not something I'm always do very well, but you know, I give it a crack.
Man, you're doing the production, you're doing the vocal stuff, you're also doing the creative, and you're shooting the videos. You can't do everything. But
Yeah, true.
In those sort of scenarios, it always helps to partner up with somebody that then can pick up your weakness. Not to say that you've got a weakness, but I'm just like, you're spending all your time doing that. You can't look at the promotion as well.
Yeah,
There's
true,
someone who's
true.
probably not as good at the creative, but it's better at the promotion, you know?
That's true. Yeah, that would be good to find someone like that.
I need to find someone similar as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not always that easy.
Yeah, fully.
So let's get back on your linear journey, man. So we're talking 2021. You make this, but it doesn't come out. When do you start to come to Melbourne? Is it like 2023?
Nah, that was the
2022?
start of this year. So
Yeah, you haven't been here that long.
yeah, no, I've been here since April, really. Like, yeah, not long at all.
That's
yeah.
not long at all. So there was a bit of an exodus from Tassie. A few people came over here.
Yeah, true. It was around the same time, like purely coincidentally, that Greeley kind of moved over as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so which was cool because it was funny, man. Like I worked so closely with Greeley so much in Tassie, and then I moved over to Melbourne, and Greeley's still my main client. I was like, that's ironic. That's so funny.
For sure. And when you say client, this whole time, music is your full-time gig? Are
Yeah.
you like working other jobs to try and prop that up?
I mean, I have done a lot of like different jobs back when I was younger, but since sort of like, yeah, moving to Hobart and really sort of going hard with the music, it's been just music and just like, well, music and videos and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's been it. I haven't actually had any other jobs since then.
Which is extremely impressive, man, because a lot of people that have been doing this for probably as long as you've been born,
Yeah,
you know, for the last 24 years, some of those people still aren't at the point where they can make money purely from their art.
Yeah.
So you've definitely hit the ground running in that aspect, and that's impressive, man.
Oh, thanks, bro. It's definitely like stressful as well. And like, you know, it's not an easy thing to do. And it's like you have to just do so much, you know what I mean? And yeah, but I mean, yeah, I'm not dead yet. So that's good.
No, but that's the thing. I think a lot of people like you, you've got the different avenues with the music and then the video as well, but you've got to keep going strike while the iron's hot, because you don't want to sort of not become irrelevant, but you know, the work may not always be there, and especially if you sort of start saying no to stuff. So I think it's important to just take it on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And the thing is, it's important to like, you know, be there and show up and like, you know, get to know people and show your face and like, not just sort of like sit around with all the skills to do these things and just expect that the work will just come to you. You know what I mean? Because it's like not really the case. You know, you kind of have to be someone that people think of when they want to record or they want a video. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's the thing, man. I think with any kind of creative endeavor, being punctual, being reliable is probably one of the most important things. People can rely on you. They know when you say something, it's going to happen at that time. There's no fucking around.
Totally, man. It's, I think, the case with everything, really. Yeah.
But I think it's more likely that people fuck around a bit in the creative pursuits than
Yeah,
other
yeah,
things. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
true.
There's a lack of professionalism with some sort of aspects of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there is for
People are
sure.
more flaky.
Yeah, they definitely can be. Yeah, I definitely realized that with putting together Apple Isle Style, there was definitely like, the handful of people that were like super on top of it, super keen, smashed it out straight away, and then like there was people that had to just chase up and chase up and chase up, but it was worth it in the end to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
for sure. So when someone approaches you to work with you, right? Just someone finds you on Instagram or whatever, they want to work with you from a musical perspective. Do they say, play us your beats? Do they say, I've got an idea for a song? Are you doing an hourly thing in the studio? How does are you always different?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty different. It does vary a lot. It depends on what someone really wants to do, really. Like, I'm pretty keen to be accommodating and work with what people want to do. But yeah, I mean, they can come over and we can make a beat, or they can ask for a particular beat and I can try to make one for them. If they already have a beat that they want to record to, we can just do that. Yeah, it's always different, really, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no particular way that you prefer to work? Like, or do people send you something, they go, make me something like this, and then I want to come and record it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, people do that a fair bit. To be honest, like with my beats and production, it's like most of the production I do, and this is probably how I prefer it as well, is like working on projects with people or like projects for myself, or I don't really ever have like a big beat catalog that I just shop around. Not to say I wouldn't like to do that. I just don't really have that at the moment. You know what I mean? I like to work on projects with people. Yeah.
I guess that's because you've always been so busy. You don't have time to just sit there making beats when you're not working on something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I suppose that is. And when I do make these beats, they end up getting used for something, pretty quickly.
There's
Yeah.
not too many sitting in the vaults.
Nah, not really. Yeah, not really.
That's probably a testament to how much you're putting out there, like the people while you're working with people. I think a
Yeah.
lot of the other stuff sits there, and the people are like, "Fuck, I don't know what to do with these beats." You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've got the opposite problem, really.
Well, is that a thing that you sometimes you bite off more than you can chew when it comes to working with people?
Probably, yeah, I think so. Yeah, and also like I think it's just like because there are different areas that I'm working in, and like I'm doing different things. Sometimes I feel like fuck, I'm doing so many videos at the moment. I really just want to like make more beats or like produce more, or like even just do more mixing. And then when I'm doing more mixing, I'm like fuck, I wouldn't mind doing some more videos. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a grass is always greener thing, but it's tricky to find the balance. But I guess it's good to have those different avenues, so it keeps things interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So aside from the Apple Isle Style album, I was going to say EP. It's definitely not an EP.
Yeah.
It's 24 tracks.
Yeah.
Then you release your first solo album as well,
Yeah, so I released the first solo album before Apple Isle. I released that in I think April of 2023, called The Craft.
which is not with the same year, but just
Yeah, just a little bit before it. So that was cool. Like that, I mean, obviously, like I was talking about, I'd been sort of making and releasing music, but I'd gotten rid of all that, and this is like starting fresh, like just me doing me with my name. Like the Craft was my first debut solo album. Well, the first debut. It's kind of a yeah, but yeah, I released that in April, and that had Grills and my mate Paul for Pseudo Lucid and Wombat and a few other people, and yeah, that was sick, and had cuts on everything, and that was so much fun, and session musos, and yeah, that was really cool.
and you were just happy to make an album exactly how you wanted to make it.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Yeah, I just had fun, and I wanted to make it like modern and new sounding, but still like authentic and golden era hip hop as much as I could. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that was why it was so cool working with my mate Damesa from Tassie, who's an amazing scratch DJ, and I think he cut on 9 of the 12 tracks, and then Musty cut on one of the other ones, and then I had 2 tracks without cuts. Yeah.
But it must have been a bit of a relief after working with so many different artists. What did you say? How many artists is on the first one? 60?
Yeah, so 50 rappers, 5 DJs or something, and then some other like session musos.
So now you've got creative control back, which I know you were steering that ship, but at the same time, you had to make sure that each kind of artist was happy with their part of it. Which is a lot of boxes to tick off and make sure everyone's happy. So once you start doing your own thing, you're the only one that really has to sign off on it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like took a little bit of a break from the Apple Isle thing and like put it on the back burner while I made my solo album. So I like started Apple Isle, worked on it. It just like kind of burnt me out a little bit. So I put it on the back burner and then that's when I made the craft. Yeah. Then I made that, released that, and then I was like, all right, I'll get back to Apple Isle and finish that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. It is like, it does get a bit draining just like working with so many different people and not having that creative control. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have the final say. It's your project, but I guess you just want to keep the artist happy too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's a lot of compromises and balances to strike and stuff.
Is there any tracks or artists that were supposed to be on this that never made it in the end?
There were a couple. There weren't really many though. Yeah, but there were maybe like one or two that were supposed to get on there, but it just didn't happen in time. And I was like, I've just got to call it. Yeah.
Have you had people hit you up afterwards like, man, I'm from Tassie and how come I'm not on your fucking album?
Have I? I don't know. There was definitely like some people that I would have loved to get on there, like OGs in the Tassie hip hop scene that it didn't end up happening. Like they're just not really rapping anymore or this or that, or I didn't really have any contact with them, or like there was a bunch, but yeah, I haven't really had too many people like salty at me for not getting them on there, which is lucky.
Yeah. So then, man, you've done so much in your short life. So then after that, then you start working on your second solo album.
Yeah.
Which is The Eye of the Storm.
Yeah. So yeah, that one I kind of had a couple of tracks for that sort of for a while since the start of the year, but most of that album, to be honest, most of that I made in the last probably month or two before it was released. Because I was like, man, I'm just like so busy at the moment, like working on all this stuff for so many other people and like doing, all this work for my business, but just for other people's projects too. I'm like, if I'm just never going to do my own thing, if I don't just make time and make it happen. So I just like really prioritize that for a period of time and just
blocked
smash that
out your work stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And just smash that out really, really quick. But I'm really happy with it. Like it's definitely some of my best shit, which is interesting because I feel like a lot of the tracks that I did super quick, like in a day, are better than the tracks I labored over for ages. So
but sometimes it works to set yourself a bit of a time restraint because otherwise, especially if you're sort of a perfectionist, you can just fucking go over and over and over things.
Oh, man, yeah, so true. Yeah, you definitely can. It's a really hard skill to learn how to call it and like say it's done is done because perfect doesn't exist really.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You can keep working on something forever. I think it's just giving yourself a deadline or having someone give you a deadline can definitely help a creative process.
Yeah, totally. And I have to impose the deadlines on myself when I really like to do that. That's like with Eye of the Storm, I booked in a session with Joe Cara, the mastering engineer, and I was like, at this point, I'd only made like probably a third of the album. And I was like, hey, Joe, I've got this album ready to master. Can we master it in like a month? Or like we set the date. And I was like, all right, I've booked this in. I've got to bloody write this album and got to get it done because I've got this deadline and I need to do it.
Yeah. When you do, because you've got such a well-tuned ear for the whole musical thing, when you watch people master, are you looking at how they do it and being like, all right, I'm learning here, I could do that. Like, I'm guessing you're going to be peering over his shoulder always mastering it.
Oh, totally, man, totally. That's why I love to actually go to the sessions and have like attended sessions with him. It's because I love to just peer over his shoulder.
Is he teaching you?
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, he loves to share his knowledge. And I mean, all kind of audio nerds are like that. Like everyone just loves to yarn about whatever they're doing and their passion and like all the nerdy details. Like I'm the same, man. If someone wants to like listen to me, I'll yarn on for even if they don't want to listen to me, I'll probably do it anyway.
Yeah, well, break down for people that might not understand. But mastering, and like I know it sounds best on the medium that you're putting it out, but what's really the nuts and bolts of it when you get into like mastering a full record?
Well, like back in the day, sort of the job of the mastering and engineer was, I suppose, a bit more technical, and it was to like make sure the music was like hitting the real technical specifications for whatever medium it was going on, be that vinyl or tape or whatever. So they weren't doing so much to actually like affect the sound of it. They were just making sure, all the metadata and everything was all sweet, and it wasn't going to like, the needle wasn't going to jump out of the groove, because you have your bass out of phase or anything like that. So it was more of a technical thing, and it still is now that's an element, but I feel like the mastering engineer now has a bit more creative input with it. So it's kind of like there's no set line where mixing ends and mastering starts. You know what I mean? It's a bit like I do the mix, I get it as finished as possible, and then I will give it to the mastering engineer. They will listen to it, and they will take, their different ears, different systems, different speakers, different experience, different taste, and they'll sort of like correct for things that I've done, you know what I mean? So they'll like sort of fill in my gaps a little bit. So I just give them the finished file. They don't have the stems or anything.
Oh,
yeah.
So how do they master? How do they break it up? Or how?
They don't break it apart. They just, I've done the mix. They just like, they're like overall tone shaping it. So they're making it sound consistent as an album too. So if I give a mastering engineer, like Joe, my album, and one track's doesn't quite have as much bass as the other track, or one track's like, a little bit too bright, has a bit too much high end or anything like that. Maybe one track, the kicks are a little bit loud, so, it sounds quieter relative, to everything. He'll sort of like do the final compression on everything. He'll do the final EQ, the final tone shaping, make everything sound consistent just as far as like an overall thing. So it's very broad strokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like in the intricate, you're not going into the stems and like turning a vocal down or like turning a hi-hat up. You're doing an overall tone shaping, and yeah.
And is that because you trust yourself to get it to that stage? Or is there ever time where a mastering person will be like, man, that hi-hat is doing too much. Let me control it so I can,
Totally, yeah. I mean, a good mastering engineer will definitely like push back on your mix if he thinks it's not quite ready. If he thinks that, you need to fix your mix before he can do his job, then he'll tell you that. You know what I mean?
So there might be a bit of back and forth where he
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
track 5 and track 7, it's too high and I believe you need more something here.
Yeah,
Send me that and then I can work with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's why I like to go there with my laptop and all the sessions there. So if he does say like, your vocal here is maybe a little bit muddy, and he can't fix that on his end, so maybe I'll just fix that and bounce it back to him and stuff like that.
It's a funny time now because people can listen to music in all manner of different things. Like we could listen to something with a proper production, you could have surround sound speakers, or people just listen to it on their laptop.
Yeah.
But you want it to be able to work on all these different.
Totally.
And that's really hard from a digital music perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that's another good thing the mastering engineer will do. He'll or she will know that what's going to make it translate best to as many different things as possible. You know what I mean? And you don't want to have like something sound awesome in your headphones and then it sounds like shit on your phone. You know what I mean? So you got to like make sure you're sort of like ticking all the boxes and it's doing all the things at once.
Yeah, it's like the things that mastering engineers have had to hurdles that they've had to cross recently is now thinking about things digitally on all the different digital. When it used to be different mediums, you would play physical music.
Yeah, totally. And different streaming services want like different loudnesses and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a whole can of worms. Yeah. But that's another job of the mastering engineer, to make it as loud as possible without it distorting or sounding squashed or anything like that.
Yeah, and then making sure when people do crank it as loud as they can on that said streaming service or device, it's not going to totally shit itself.
Yeah, fully. And if you're like listening to, a mix on Spotify, or if it's on the radio, you don't want your song coming on sounding significantly quieter than the one that was just played. You know what I mean?
No,
yeah.
That's a whole thing too.
Yeah. But people can go too far with that. And then we, had like the loudness wars in the 90s where everyone was just squashing the shit out of mixes, and then it was distorted and sounding thin and sounding like shit.
Yeah. I always think like when I go, when you walk past like Boost Juice or something, they've always got like shitty like techno or EDM playing through really shitty speakers, and it sounds so bad. Like
Yeah,
playing that
yeah.
sort of overly produced music through bad speakers. There's nothing worse than hearing
Yeah,
that.
fully. Yeah, totally. There's definitely genres of music that suit different playback systems better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like that sort of stuff needs to be played on something that's loud, has the bass, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, fully.
I can,
Yeah.
my ears are like, oh, probably
Yeah.
because I don't like that kind of music much anyway.
Yeah, yeah, fair play.
When you're going to like, I put episodes on Spotify, but when you upload music to Spotify, do they give you feedback and say these masterings aren't work, or do they put it through their own compression and kind of normalize things as well?
They do to an extent. They don't put it through compression. They do like adjust the level. So I think they adjust it. I think it's the LUFS level, which is like an overall sort of loudness, how they measure the overall loudness. Like, so it's not the peak level, but it's like the overall loudness. They try to like adjust it so it's all fairly similar. And I think they adjust it so it hits like -14 LUFS. But still, that doesn't really account for different mastering. Because like, if the mastering impacts the sound of the record, you know what I mean? And if it's like more compressed and louder, it's going to have a different sound. So Spotify can't really do that, and they can't really start applying compression because that's going to start fucking the sound of the song.
Yeah.
So they just adjust the actual level of it a bit. They have like now DistroKid, and I'm sure plenty of other distributors as well have introduced this like AI mastering thing. When you're uploading your song to DistroKid, they're like, would you like to enhance your song and have our AI robots master it for you? Which, yeah, I'm not a fan of, but
No, but I guess it's good for the bedroom musicians, like we're talking about, the kids that are recorded into their laptop microphone.
Yeah,
that
totally.
probably helps
Yeah.
them.
Oh, that would definitely help them a lot. I mean, when I say I'm not a fan of it, I mean, it's like, I don't want to take my masters that I've like labored over, or like,
No.
I've given to Joe and then be like, all right, DistroKid, now destroy it. You know what I mean?
And a lot of people mention DistroKid, a lot of artists. I'm guessing that it is probably one of the biggest distribution. Like, I don't know much about it.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
break down to me how that works for an artist?
Yeah, well, so you can't really upload your music directly to platforms like Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that. You need to go through a third party, like an aggregator, a distributor. Like it's sort of like what a record label would do. But if you don't have a record label, then you can use something like DistroKid, where you just submit your music to them, and then they submit it to everything. So they put it on Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal and Pandora and everything. I think they even put it on Snapchat. They put it on everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And makes it searchable. And then the royalties come back. Do the royalties go through them, or they come directly to the artist?
So, the royalties go to DistroKid, and then you will take it from DistroKid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So...
Or whatever aggregator you use.
use. So there's multiple ones. That seems to be a popular one.
Yeah, yeah.
So say we record an album this afternoon.
Let's do it.
We're happy. Yeah, we're happy. We put it out there. You give it to DistroKid tomorrow. Does it go up? Is there like a buffering time?
Yeah, there's normally like a few days it takes before it's up on everything. But yeah, they're pretty good. They say they want like a couple of weeks to ensure it's everywhere, but they'll get it on Spotify within a couple of days.
And then does it ask for individual artwork and all that sort of stuff? Is that part of it as well?
Yeah, it wants artwork for everything. Like I mean, if it's one album, you just have the one artwork for the whole album. But yeah, that's where you put everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And does that also, is getting your songs on Instagram for stories and that sort of stuff, is that a different thing altogether? Or DistroKid handles that too?
Yeah, same thing. DistroKid
Really?
will handle that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. It's an interesting. As much as everybody can do it themselves these days, there still is these sort of,
The gatekeeper.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, totally.
Like that, even when you don't have a label, you still need someone to get it there.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's interesting. Very true. But I suppose there are a lot of options. But yeah.
And DistroKid just seems to be a popular one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I think there's CD Baby and Ditto also are pretty popular ones. I think Ditto might be an Australian one. But
DITTO.
Yeah. Okay. I think that might be more of an Australian based one. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, there's a few different options you can go with. But yeah, there are definitely still channels you have to go through.
And just once you get it out there, that's the first step. Then you've got to start promoting it. You've got to try and get on a playlist. Like you've got
Oh
to,
yeah.
like there's how much music would be uploaded to something like that every day? It'd be millions of tracks.
Oh man, so much, yeah. I've definitely heard stats. I can't remember them now off the top of my head, but it's like it would literally be impossible for anyone to possibly listen to all the music, even that just came out today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it does make it easier, but it also makes it harder for you to get your stuff out there because people got to wade through a lot of crap.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man, 100%. There's a lot of crap to wade through.
In a nice way.
Yeah, true.
No, but we live in a time at least where everyone can get their art out there. But it does kind of kill me sometimes when you see these people have put so much time and effort into stuff, and then they get a couple of hundred views. You're like, fuck, man. That's, so many people just deserve so much more than what they actually get.
Oh man, 100%. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I really don't understand it either. Like, there's some ridiculously talented artists that make such good music, such high quality product in all the ways, and they just very slept on.
Your most recent record,
Yep,
which is Eye of the Storm.
that's right. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about some highlights of that?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the whole thing sort of represents my whole, like my move over to Victoria and that sort of transitional period, and like it being so hectic and so intense and so busy and like stressful and like expensive and just fucking like, yeah, just so much, man. And it does feel like just, you know, a bit of a storm sometimes. And it's like trying to work out how to find, you know, like find calm and find peace and like find order in that chaos. You know what I mean? And be able to like operate in that whirlwind and like, yeah, composed and calm in the eye of the storm. I suppose that's the theme of the album, really. But yeah, it's like 10 tracks. I produced all the beats for it. I've got my homie Mickey from Preston playing some keys on some tracks, which is really cool. Really cool working with him. I've got Mishap doing cuts. I've got Damesa doing cuts. I've got Musty doing cuts. And yeah, it's a big vibe.
What about it? What features though?
Yeah, so with this one, like I didn't really like try to get any particular features. It just sort of happened that I ended up doing features with people that I'm just collaborating with a lot. So at the moment, so I've got Clara Vizzi on a track, I've got Greeley on a track, I've got Grace Chia on a track, and I've got my homie Bird Brain from Tassie on a track too, which was cool.
Yeah.
That was funny, man. I just like wrote this hell silly track in a day. It was just about like, you know, because like sneaker culture is so big in hip hop and like people love writing songs about their fresh kicks and shit. And I just wrote this song about buying this like hell cheap pair of shoes from the DFO. And I was like, this is funny. I like this. And I sent it to Bird. He's like, bro, I relate to this so much. This is sick. Can I do a verse? And I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. So I've got him on there as well.
Did he record that here in Melbourne, or he was recording in Tassie?
Yeah, he recorded his in Tassie. Yeah. So that was pretty fun, man. There's definitely some just like, there's some like deeper and more personal tracks on here, but there's also just some like hella fun, silly shit that I'm just having fun with this. I'm just gonna have a good time and write this stupid track about the DFO.
But that's the thing, man. You can't have it. It can't always be heavy and meaningful. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah.
got to have. Otherwise, it's too heavy, too deep.
Yeah, totally, man. And like, you know, yeah, you kind of just get over the whole people really trying to be cool and like put on this facade and like, you know, say the things that rappers say. You know what I mean? It's just like you kind of get a little bit over that and you just want to like have fun and just, yeah.
But you're a happy, vibrant dude. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you've got some deep songs, but a whole really sort of, you know, full-on album wouldn't represent who you are as a person.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm a multifaceted person. Like I think everyone is a multifaceted person. So I think it's pretty natural that your music's going to reflect that. And, you know, I've also been like, you know, writing and recording rap songs for 12 years. So
Half your life?
Yeah, literally, man. So I'm kind of like, I'm sort of over like trying to do anything in particular or trying to like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, just make a rap song how rap songs are made, and I just want to fucking have some fun and do some shit that I like doing, you know?
With the videography stuff, do people have a genuine direction, or generally have a direction, or they give you creative control, or it sort of varies?
I would say it does vary. I'd say mostly people are pretty keen to just have me direct, and which I totally understand. When I do my own videos for my own songs, a lot of the time I'm pretty keen to just like outsource it because I'm like, fuck, I don't want to have to think about this. You know what I mean? But there's definitely, yeah, it definitely does vary, and I do appreciate it when people have a really set vision of what they want and they've got it all sorted, and I just rock up and do the job. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of a barter system when other people work for you? You'd be like, I'll do a clip for you, you do a clip for me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, working with your friends and doing it full time, you're not going and working a 9 to 5. This is your full time job. So does it often get like, not often, but sometimes you're like, man, you know, I love you, I love working with you, but you know, you got to start paying, that sort of thing. But does it get to that sort of stuff though?
Yeah, it definitely can get to that kind of thing. It's always tricky to try to like balance that like working relationship with someone and like your actual genuine friendship. It's but also I suppose like most of my friends are people I'm collaborating with anyway. So it's like it kind of creative friendships give and they take, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
You just don't want people taking the piss though.
No, of course
You
not.
know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But the hours you could be spending recording them, you could be spending recording someone else. You know, so
Yeah,
you just got to take
yeah.
that into consideration.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you gotta draw the line, and you gotta be careful with it. But it's very hard to do, and I definitely don't always do it very well.
But you're doing a good job, man, because you're full time. You're not working any other jobs. This is your full time gig. So that's a
True.
testament to how you must be navigating that whole situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's good, man. I'm pretty. There is a certain element of like feeling like fuck, like you kind of doing the impossible to a degree. You know what I mean? Because like I always kind of wanted to do this, but I never really thought it would actually be possible. Like I just thought, fuck, that's
And
pretty
you're just getting
far-fetched.
started, man. You're
Yeah,
24.
yeah, true. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked that I'm able to do that. I think there's a lot of finessing and a lot of optimizing and refining and making things more efficient and all that needs to be done because yeah, it is a lot of work and yeah, I gotta refine it over time, but that's just par for the course, really.
Yeah, man, and you're on the right track. As you move forward in what you do professionally, do you want to do more music, more video, or just a bit of everything?
I think it's good to have a couple of different creative avenues, I suppose. I don't think I would ever want to just do one thing, really. I think it probably, it will change depending on like how I'm feeling, like what I want to do and what I want to focus more on. Probably at the moment I'm keen to do more mixing and more studio work, but I mean after a while I'll probably be more keen to do more video work as well. It's I think it's
Variety.
always just gonna bounce between the two a bit.
Yeah. Because you are full time in this business, when you go for a new lease or something, what do you put down on your application for?
Oh man, I basically I just say that. Like I say, I'm self-employed doing this and that and
Doing
yeah,
this and that.
I'm doing stuff and things and yeah, I guess I have
Freelance
money, maybe.
creative.
Yeah, freelance creative. Yeah, I think on my recent lease I said I was like a freelance videographer and audio engineer and stuff, and they wanted a lot of information. They were asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, well, for sure. And that is whenever you fill out any form and you put freelance on there, it's
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
just is an alarm bag. Red flag, freelance.
Oh,
They've got
man.
no security.
Oh, it was definitely a can of worms. It was a bit of a hassle trying to do that, but it was also funny because like the real estate agent was like, "Oh, you do music stuff, do you? I've got a mate who raps." I'm like, "Oh yeah, who's your mate who raps?" And he said him, and I was like, "No shit, I shot a video for him last week, and I showed him
wow.
the video, and he's like, what the hell? That's crazy." I was like, "Wow,
You
small
got a
world."
cosign from the real estate agent.
Yeah, bro, it was hell trippy, man.
Yeah.
Small world.
I think you might have changed studios now, but you've had a fair few people through the studio that you were recording at.
Yeah.
It must have been a trip when you got Bias in there, man.
Oh man, yeah, that was super cool. So when I first moved over to Melbourne, I was staying in my mate's apartment in the city, who was just overseas for 6 months. So I was just renting that off him, which was a hectic spot. It was like super cool.
Yeah.
So it was like right on Spencer Street. So I was like right in the heart of Melbourne, like on the 40th floor. So it was like, oh, you want to go to Melbourne? Do you? Right in the middle, like, yeah, right in the guts of it, which was like, it was a big adjustment. It was like sensory overload a lot of the time. But yeah, had recorded Bias, recorded Enter, recorded heaps of people actually, which is really cool. Like really unexpectedly, a bunch of people.
Yeah, and that, I guess, one leads to another. Someone says, "Oh, I like what we're doing here." You know, like
Yeah.
I think maybe Bias came through with Greeley or something like that. Or like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
artist leads to another. Is that how it kind
Yeah,
of works?
yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, Bias came through with grills. A lot of my clients have kind of come from like grills, really. Yeah. He's been super good, like with recommending me to people, and just our working relationship has been it's very much a two-way street. You know, I think he gets a lot of value out of and I get a lot of value out of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Greeley, that's an amazing segue, man. You're doing a good job for me.
Yeah.
This is going to come out next week, so we'll pretend it's now.
Yeah. Now.
You're touring right now in Tassie.
Yeah, as we speak. The first show was a massive success. Now we've got I'm actually leaving, you know, in the current timeline that we're in right now. I'm leaving tomorrow. We're flying to Tassie, and I think on the 5th we're playing Hobart, and then I'm gonna maybe get this wrong. I think it's like Hobart, Devonport, St Helens, Launceston.
Yep.
Yeah, in that order. Yeah, and we've got me, Clara Vizzi, Grace Chia, Eric Devine, Brother Pete, Mishap, and Greeley. Really hope I haven't left anyone out. I don't think I have though, but I think that's
And
the
there'd be
mob.
some special guests. I'm
Yeah,
imagining.
yeah. Special guests in whatever city we're playing in. Yeah.
I'd imagine that Dundee would be making an appearance somewhere along the line.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he. Yeah, I really hope he does. But I at least want to catch up with him, even if he doesn't make it through to a show. I think he might have said that he wasn't able to make it or something. But I'll have to hunt him down anyway.
But it must be pretty cool to head back to your old home state with some other people that are from there also.
Yeah.
And kind of do a bit of a homecoming tour almost.
Oh, it's super cool, man. I mean, Eric, he's kind of an honorary Tasmanian, really. Anyway, like everyone in Tassie loves him, and everyone always assumes he's from Tassie, but he's not.
I pretty much did, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's from Newey, so he's not from Tassie, and Mishap's not, but everyone else is from Tassie. So yeah, it's really cool, and I've been a while since I played a show in Launceston too, my hometown. So that'll be really cool to do. Like when I was cutting my teeth back in the day, around when I was like 17, 18, played heaps of gigs in Launceston. My mate Lachy, who I think Grace mentioned actually when she did her podcast, yeah, he was putting on these Music Madness shows like every month, maybe more. And yeah, I just did so many shows in Launceston. It was a loose time. It was hectic, but it was sick, man. So I'm super keen to go back and play another show there.
And it seems like a good, fun crew to be going with, man. Like, it's
Yeah.
like you've got a whole gang of people that you're all mates with, get tour around your home state.
Yeah, it'll be super fun, man. Yeah, super fun. I'm really keen for it.
So as we get closer to wrapping it up, I'm going to ask you this because you are very youthful still compared to most people that get on this show. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time, man? If you came back here when you're 34 years old, where would you be on your musical journey?
Wow, that's a good question, man. I don't know. I think like long term, what I would like is to, I think be more of a producer, like really work with artists, really produce projects with them, and for that to be my main sort of crust, I reckon. I still want to do my own music as well, but I don't know. I don't know if I would ever really want that to be like my job, like my own personal music, to like for me to have to rely on that for my income.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think I want to still do my own music, but do it sort of on my terms and maybe like a bit more, like just when I want to, and I want to really focus a lot on the production side of things and really like lean into that more, I reckon. But yeah, who knows, man? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I kind of think I get where you're going. You'd love people to come to you and say, look, this is us. We're a group, a duo, an individual. we've got this project in mind and we want you to help us bring this project to light. That's kind of where you see yourself going more?
I think so. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Like to link up with an artist. We produce, like make the beats, and we do the whole thing. And yeah, I think that would be really cool. Yeah.
So you get to see the project from start to finish rather than just working on individual parts with each person.
Yeah, totally. And when I have done that, I've really enjoyed that process too. So I think that's the kind of thing I want to do. Yeah.
Aside from the tour with it's a outside the box tour, which is happening now in Tassie.
Yeah.
Aside from that, what else have you got coming up? Man, 2024 is almost done. What have you got coming up in 2025?
I think 2025, I want to still do my thing, still like, continue on with the videos and the production and the mixing and all that stuff. And with my own personal music, I want to, I think, not focus on like doing a project next year per se. I think I want to just really focus on singles and like consistently dropping a single, sort of maybe like one every month or something.
That's what
like
Grace
that.
did, didn't
yeah,
she?
exactly. Yeah. Grace did a really good job of actually doing that. It's kind of like something that we all say, yeah, that would be a good idea. Like that's what you need to do, and no one does it. And then Grace actually did. So yeah, I think something like that would be a good idea. I think I should do that. And just keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah. And if people want to work with you, if they want a clip, if they want beats, if they want to record their vocals, if they want mixing, if they want to work with Lachy Hamill, how do they find you, man?
Slide in the DMs on Insta or Facebook or wherever. I've got a website too. I probably need to give that a bit of a refresh and a facelift.
Give it a shout out at least.
Yeah, lachyhamill.com. There we go. Pretty easy. But yeah, that's my website.
LACHY.
That's it. Yep. HAMILL. Yeah.
.com.
Yeah.
That's where they can find you. And I always ask people this, man, because I like to put people on the spot. Who would you like to see on this show? Because I use this as ammo to try and get more guests on. Who would you like to see on the 3000 podcast in the future, man?
I think someone that I would personally really enjoy seeing would be definitely Musty. That would be really cool. Joe Cara from Crystal Mastering would be really cool too.
Yep.
Don't know, Seth Century. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Who else?
So
Just Gecko. Yeah, another one.
Gecko,
Yeah,
okay. So that's someone, him and Musty, I've reached out to in the past and haven't quite made it happen.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's enough. It gives me a bit more ammo. I can go back to them and
Yeah.
annoy them again.
Yeah, totally. But man, you're doing your thing. Like a lot of the guests I've seen you do shows with, I wouldn't have expected. Like I wouldn't have suggested that. I wouldn't have even thought of it. But they've been really good and really interesting. I've gotten a lot out of. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it, and I love it when people come in who have been like, "Yeah, I've watched the show. It's really cool." Like it means that they know what they're in for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hopefully you can make it happen with Dunners too, and Wombat as well. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think Wombat might be a bit more of a challenge, but Dunners was locked in.
Yeah.
Just the flight cancellation or the flight delay made things hard.
Yeah, totally.
But, man, like I always say with these people that are coming from Tassie, like Melbourne, it's
big.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's big. Yeah.
It is, man. Yeah, it is big.
Grace was going to try and catch public transport here before your partner decided to drive her. I'm like, dude, that just don't.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, that would have been a mission, man. It would have been like 3 or 4 hours.
It would have been ages.
Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming in. It's been great to chat, and I 100% want to get you back soon because you're just getting started, man.
Yeah, totally, man. I'd love to come back in a year or so and see where we are. After that, that'd be cool
for sure. All right, Lachy, man. I appreciate you coming in. Have fun on your tour with the rest of the gang, and we'll catch you soon, man.
Sounds good, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers.
Chee.